Hey everyone! Today, you will learn new English words through the heartwarming story of Charlie Gordon, a man with a mental disability who undergoes a special operation to become smart. Based on the classic novel Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes.
Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Charlie Gordon is a 32-year-old man with a mental disability. All his life, he dreamed of becoming smart. He worked in a bakery for Mr. Donner, a man who hired him out of respect for a promise made to Charlie's uncle. At the bakery, his co-workers often laughed at him, though Charlie did not understand this. He truly believed they were his friends because he couldn't see that their jokes and teasing were mean. The one thing Charlie wanted most in the world was to be smart like other people. His life changed when he agreed to an experimental operation suggested by Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss. According to the doctors, the operation could make him much smarter. Charlie saw an example in a mouse named Algernon, who had the same operation and became incredibly smart. He admired Algernon, watching how she solved complex mazes faster than other mice. Algernon became a symbol of hope for Charlie and a way to reach his dream.
I want to be smart,
Charlie thought when the doctors told him about the operation.
I want to understand the world like others do. I want people to love me for who I am, not laugh at me. This is my chance to be better, and I can't miss it.
After the operation, Charlie slowly started to notice changes in himself. At first, these were small improvements. He read faster and remembered more of what he read. But soon, his intelligence started to grow quickly. Charlie began to realize that his abilities were far above average. He started reading books that were too difficult for him before, and he understood topics he never dreamed of learning about. But as his intelligence grew, Charlie began to see the dark side of his new state. He realized that the people he thought were his friends were actually laughing at him when he was weak. He remembered many moments when they used or humiliated him, and this caused him deep pain.
How could they do this to me? I trusted them, thought they were my friends. But they laughed at me when I couldn't protect myself. How could I not see this before?
The smarter Charlie became, the more he felt separated from the people around him. His relationships with his co-workers and with Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss began to change. He felt that they no longer saw him as equal, but were instead afraid of his new intelligence. This created a distance that Charlie couldn't cross. His relationship with Miss Kenyon, his teacher who always believed in him and supported him, changed the most. With each day, Charlie felt the gap between them getting wider. He loved her, but he understood that their love was impossible, partly because his intelligence was now greater than hers.
Alice, I love you, but I see how we are growing apart. I don't want this to happen, but I can't stop it. My intelligence has become a wall between us, and I'm afraid this wall will soon be impossible to break.
Feeling more and more alone, Charlie started studying scientific papers, trying to understand the nature of his condition. He began to research not only the process of becoming smarter, but also its possible consequences. Soon he found out there was a risk of regression. His new abilities might be temporary. This realization shocked him, especially after he noticed changes in Algernon's behavior. The mouse, who had been a symbol of his success, started to lose her cognitive abilities. She became more aggressive, her intelligence started to decrease, and soon she died. This fact made Charlie understand that his own regression was also inevitable.
If Algernon lost everything she gained from the operation, what will happen to me? I can't go back to who I was before. It's worse than death. I must find an answer before it's too late.
Charlie began working intensely on the research, trying to understand the reason for the changes and find a way to stop the coming decline. He developed a theory that the changes in the brain caused by the operation were temporary and that his intelligence would eventually return to its original level. Despite all his efforts, the process of degradation could not be stopped. Charlie began to lose his new abilities. He forgot many complex words, started reading and understanding texts more slowly, which had been easy for him before. He felt his world narrowing again, returning to what it had been before the operation. This process was unbearably painful for him, but he knew he couldn't change it.
I will become who I was again. I don't want this, but it's inevitable. I tried to change my fate, but it turns out I can't change it. I will lose everything I gained and will be an object of pity and mockery again.
Soon, Charlie fully returned to his previous state. He stopped understanding difficult books, forgot many words, and even started getting confused about simple things. His co-workers at the bakery began to laugh at him again, and this time, Charlie couldn't understand why. But even in this state, he remembered one thing: he loved Miss Kenyon, although now he couldn't understand the depth of this love. Before he lost all his new abilities, Charlie made one last gesture. He returned to the lab where everything started and placed flowers on Algernon's grave, the mouse who was his only friend in this short and bright journey to the heights of intelligence.
Goodbye, Algernon. You were better than many people I knew. I won't forget you, even if I forget everything else. Thank you for showing me what it means to be smart, even if just for a short time.
In his last letter, Charlie asked to be placed in a special home where they could care for him. He knew that going back to his old life would be too difficult for him, and he didn't want anyone to see him slowly losing everything he had gained. However, he asked Miss Kenyon to keep visiting him, even if he wouldn't be able to recognize her.
I know I will forget everything soon. But please, don't forget me, even if I forget you. You were a light for me in this dark world, and I want some part of me to remember you, even if I won't understand it.
Charlie fully understood his fate, and even though he became the same as he was before, the pain of loss stayed in his heart. He realized that intelligence and knowledge don't always bring happiness, and that love and kindness are the things that truly matter. He also understood that despite his limitations, he was a person who deserved respect and love, even if his mental abilities were limited. In the end, Charlie moved to the special home, aware that his intelligence was fading. He could still remember his past, especially the people who were kind to him, like Miss Kenyon. Despite his declining mental state, Charlie held on to those memories, which brought him both comfort and sadness. He knew what he was losing, but also cherished the moments of clarity that allowed him to reflect on the journey he had taken. Even as his mind returned to its previous state, he remained aware of what he had once achieved, holding on to the love and kindness he had experienced along the way.
Did you know that the title comes from a request Charlie makes at the end of his journal? Before Charlie left, he placed flowers there every week after the mouse's death. Disability means a physical or mental condition that limits a person's movements, senses, or activities. Example: Charlie Gordon is a 32-year-old man with a mental disability. Maze means a complex network of paths or passages, often used in experiments with animals to test their intelligence. Example: he admired Algernon, watching how she solved complex mazes faster than other mice. Admire means to look at someone or something with respect or warm approval. Example, he admired Algernon, watching how she solved complex mazes faster than other mice. Regress means to return to a former or less developed state. Example, soon he found out there was a risk of regression, his new abilities might be temporary. Humiliate means making someone feel ashamed or foolish by injuring their dignity and pride. Example, he remembered many moments when they used or humiliated him, and this caused him deep pain.